Alright, I've started recording. We should just do the thing. I'm trying to work up enough energy to do things.
You're just punching yourself in the nuts, imagining how much better it would feel if you had a foreskin on your nuts.
The nut skin.
The nut skin.
The rare foreskin food. Really.
Everybody's always talking about the foreskin, but what about the nut skin? The back skin?
Yeah. Few people know this, but you actually have a second layer of ball sack. They remove so that it's not as pleasurable when you do your own cock and ball torture.
I'm imagining like a monkey's paw situation where you wish for a foreskin and you get a foreskin on your balls, on your fingertip, on your chin, just everywhere but your penis. And you're like, good enough, this is okay.
Like everyone's reacting in horror except for that one guy who's been trying to regrow his foreskin for like 30 years. He's just completely overjoyed.
Become like a foreskin elemental. All right. Are you ready to start?
We are ready to begin.
It's a real shame that they had to cut that one special ability from BioShock where you could just shoot foreskin at people.
Oh my god. Hello everyone and welcome back to Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth. I'm Alton. With me as always is Reese. Hello Reese.
Hello Alton. And hello to our guest, the announcer of Video Games Are the Worst Thing on Earth, Conqy.
Hey Conqy.
What up?
Thanks for having me here. Proud winner of the second annual VGod Wato Fuck a Fan contest. It's an honor and a privilege.
That selfie with Bob Chipman is what put you over the top.
Oh, I thought I had managed to delete every single instance of that image. Now that I know that one of the Horcruxes still exists, I am going to have to find where you live and destroy both you and that image.
All right, I mean,
it's like that fucking SCP where it's like if you see it just comes to kill you. It's just like a picture of you and standing next to Bob Chipman in like an attic, and then like it's like who the fuck are these idiots? And you just like suddenly there's like banging on their door.
Yeah, Bob Chipman is like the Boston's very own SCP, except when he finds you, instead of murdering you, he just explains to you how buying the Blu-ray copy of Captain Marvel is the equivalent of like giving women the right to vote.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
God. He is like an SCP. He's just he's just like, his life is so alarming and sad.
That's a good way of summing it up. And it's just like you don't even want to be mean, but you're compelled to by just some sort of like need to push those bad feelings away.
Well, it's like you're like, oh, I feel bad for him, and then he comes out and he's like, yeah, I think that by watching every single episode of Deep Space Nine, I earned the right to go live with Elon Musk on Mars, and
oh my god,
all of you Bernie bros are the ones holding me back from this. And then you're like, oh wait, no, never mind. He does deserve all the rage.
I fucking review movies for a living, and that makes me one of the Eloi, one of the enlightened ones. Or you just like plebeians living in the dirt and the shit.
I will never forget when Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman, and he was just like, Gal Gadot was in the IDF, and we finally have a soldier as a superhero. This is so important.
Oh my god. Yeah, we finally have a superhero who knows how to shoot the kneecaps off of 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just fuck me. Bob Chipman, what an idiot. Also, this is his chicken that he marinated for 3 days in Mountain Dew.
Oh my god.
Why do you have that? Why do you have that image
Googled it.
ready?
I Googled it. I found it.
It's on. He Googled it from his desktop where it's the only thing saved.
Yeah. It's just like I look at that to like I keep this image around so that if in case I need to run any Call of Cthulhu games, I can simulate sanity loss on the players. You find a raw chicken marinating in some glowing green liquid. Roll for sanity.
We probably shouldn't dunk on him too much because there is a 78% chance that I will run into him again, and by that point, he will have name searched and listened to every single second of this audio and will know who I am and where I live.
3 different people that I follow have been quote tweeted by him, and where he's just like, "Look at these Bernie bros being dipshits."
I know,
he
right?
He got in a fight with Jordan, which was extremely funny.
That's my favorite. We have so many. We actually have our own little side group that's just the Mad at Bob Chipman Society, and it keeps growing. It's going to become its own side server eventually. Oh, here's another delicious piece of chicken from Bob Chipman.
Disgusting. Stomach turning.
This is literally something that you'd find on the shitty food porn subreddit, but no, he posted that yeah, I'm proud of this.
There's a certain part of me that understands.
No, oh my god, the third result is shitty food r/shitty food porn. Marinated in Mountain Dew? What?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a picture that he posted where it was just stacks and stacks of Coke cans behind him? He had just not thrown them away for a year, and he just posted a picture of his room, and it was just completely covered in just soda cans.
Yeah.
Not even beer cans. It was just Coke and Mountain Dew and shit.
It looked like Oscar the Grouch's Fortress of Solitude. It was fucked up.
I think there was some shelf that he'd been collecting cans of soda for fucking years, and then it just it fucking fell over one day and made his room just covered in cans.
And I assume he just moved.
God. Oh my fucking god, I found it.
No.
Here we go. I've been saving every soda/beer can I drank in the new apartment since I moved in August. Tonight they all fell down. It's just his fucking floor covered in beer cans. Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, anyway, since we're better than him and we definitely aren't the same, let's get back to recording this video game podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I'm better than other people, just Bob Chipman.
There's everybody else in the number 1 slot, us at number 2, and Bob Chipman at the last place.
And then Ian Mas Chong at dead last.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to just see what other food he's made.
This is going to have to be a special video supplement for the podcast, where we just put this up on the YouTube kind of separately, just being look at this disgusting food.
Yeah,
fans of the show.
We should just do an honor, a Bob Chipman tribute, where I'm gonna soak a side of
as Mario.
I soak a side of beef in Monster Energy drink for a month, and
the
then
beef just
cook up whatever
in the acid.
Yeah, just cook up whatever slurry remains.
I thought you meant it was going to be those a tribute in the sense of those anime music videos where it has Evanescence playing, but just pictures of his disgusting food.
Wake me up, and can't wake up, and just fucking video, it just fucking the images of his shitty chicken just scrolling past.
Pictures of him in this Mario suit,
oh my god,
50% transparency, floating past.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god,
cuts of him in different costumes for his old video game show that not even the Escapist would put on their website back in the day.
That show, even when I thought that Movie Bob was more inoffensive, and I watched a couple of his content things, that show was fucking dog shit, yo.
Which show?
The video game Overthinker.
Oh my god.
Deeply
cringe. You want to talk about a cringe challenge? Is for one of us to try to watch a full episode of that. Just skits and just way too much to say from somebody. This is somebody who hosts Forgat to Toe, saying way too much to say about all of this video game shit.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was like a video fanfic of like anything made by Channel Awesome.
I searched for Bob Chipman cosplay and got just fucking insane gold. Look at this. Look at this fucking quote. Grow up. Robert movie Bob Chipman. Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Well, I'm so glad that I've completely derailed us by talking about Filmer.
Philm Robert. Like the best thing about this to me is that you actually live in Boston, so you cite him like an SCP roaming around your town.
Yeah,
Just like like the fucking scene from Jurassic Park with the music, and he's just walking out of a comic book store.
They're solitary creatures. I knew it.
And it's like Conqy's like Sam Neill, where he can barely stand up and has to be like helped to sit down on the street because he's just so in awe of the orb rolling down Newbury Street.
Oh man.
I will say this to his credit. Half the things that I've run into him at have been like protests or direct actions. So like at least when there's like a Black Lives Matter event or something like that, like he actually shows up for those.
Oh my god, he's up in the Black Lives Matter protests. Like, oh my god, have you guys watched Black Panther? So inspirational.
We will be cutting out any nice things said about Bob Chipman on the podcast.
Yeah, cut this. The part where I gave him credit, cut this.
Yeah. Like Bob Chipman, like he shouldn't be somebody who's so easily to fucking hate. But it's just like, in addition to just being like a complete weirdo goofball, he's also like some fucking like eugenicist who believes himself to be like the superior race. It's insane.
Well, too, it's like when he lashes out or when you see like the true Bob underneath, it's always like pretty ugly.
The true Bob is like the ending of Akira.
when he said that Night in the Wood was racist because Scott Benson disagreed with him on Star Wars.
That was so fucking shitty.
You're just like, okay, well, this is why we do what we do, because this sucks.
Yeah.
Well, while we're in the realm of politics, perhaps we need to transition over to the topics. Otherwise, we'll talk about Bob Chipman all night, like we already have before the recording was on.
Yeah, yeah, we've been talking like 30 minutes about Bob Chipman and Devin Faraci. It's just like every time before the recording, we just have like this struggle session where we fucking list all the people we despise and like how we hope they fail.
Yeah, I really wish you hadn't put me in that list, to be honest. It was really hurtful. You really went off on me, honestly. I just like...
Conqy has such a tiny penis. Just like...
I'm sorry I sent you that picture, okay? Listen, I thought that was a Patreon tier. I thought you would like do a review episode of it if I like pledged enough money. I didn't know that wasn't okay.
Jesus Christ.
Subscribe to my dick reviewing podcast.
God, $10 a month. I will review the hogs you send me.
All right. And speaking of hogs.
Yes.
We have our Vigatuito presidential endorsement. It's a big day for us.
Yeah. It's going to be a real shock to the people who have called us Bernie Bro R's.
A lot of people may think we would support Bernie, but we have a single issue here on the podcast, and that is video games are for little turd people, and we don't like them. Joe Biden, the official candidate of Vigatuito, we salute you.
Thank you, Joe. We look forward to meeting you in person, and maybe you calling us sweetie and giving us little kisses on the head. being very confused and walking into an outhouse and thinking it's your private jet.
Wearing a long-haired wig when I meet Joe Biden, so he'll kiss my neck.
Oh God! So Joe Biden recently made the gaming press news by calling Silicon Valley game developers little creeps who make games that teach you how to kill.
And we could not agree more, honestly.
I mean, they are creeps. Like, undeniably, the people who own video game companies are just like Epstein level perverts.
Yeah, 100%. We're talking about you now, Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick infamously on the Epstein flight logs. So I mean, like, when Joe calls them little creeps, it's an understatement. But unfortunately, what appears is that he got confused and is talking about like multiple meetings that he was in. I don't know if you want to read the article.
I think it's worth going through the article, just because to me it's gobbledygook what he's saying, and I think it's funny when he speaks gobbledygook. So without further ado, this is at VG 24/7 by Emily Guerra. Former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden has harsh words for the video game and tech industries. In an interview with the New York Times, the presidential hopeful called game developers he met during his time at the White House creeps, righteous, and arrogant, referring to his personal experiences with high-ranking executives in Silicon Valley.
Conqy, I want you to read this in his voice, if you can.
Okay, hold on. Let me get the article up. I accidentally closed it.
All right.
Now, you may recall the criticism I got for meeting with the leaders in Silicon Valley when I was trying to work out an agreement dealing with them protecting intellectual property for artists in the United States of America. And at one point, one of the little creeps sitting around at that table who was close to a billionaire, who told me he was an artist because he was able to come up with games to teach you how to kill people.
Like video games, offers New York Times interviewer.
Yeah, video games. And I was lectured by one of the senior leaders thereby saying if I insisted what they'd put together and I thought we were going to fully support and they would blow up the network, figuratively speaking, have everybody's contact. They get out and go and contact the switchboard, just blow up.
Blow it up.
And then one of these righteous people said to me, we're the economic engine of America. We're the ones. Unfortunately, I'd done a little homework before I went, and I said, I find it fascinating. I added up 7 outfits, but everyone's there but Microsoft. And I said, you have fewer people on your payroll than the losses at General Motors just face the same quarter of employees. So don't lecture me about how you've created all this employment. Fuck, this keeps going. Jesus. The point is, there's an arrogance about it, an overwhelming arrogance that we're the ones and we can do what I want to do. I disagree. I think that's it.
There's more, but it's I won't subject you to any more, Conqy. Thank you so much for reading.
I'm trying to understand any of what I just read, and this is just fucking word salad.
It was in response to a question about whether he regrets Silicon Valley's powers being expanded greatly. And that's his response, is that he just kind of went on this ramble about about this. And the only the exemption that Joe Biden is talking about, to kind of sum up the end of the article, is, in my understanding, it's that to help platform owners avoid being blamed for content generated by its users. And Joe Biden is basically coming out hard against that existing. So Joe Biden is just in response to this, he's just you know what? Being able to create user generated content is bad, and we should strip the ability that protects companies from
people making a Columbine simulator in Skyrim.
Yes,
exactly. And
completely agree. Unironically, critical support for Joe Biden to make YouTube responsible for every single comment posted on his website.
Agreed. Hard agree. Same with Twitter. Twitter should be responsible for whenever.
I want Jack to be put in jail for my tweets.
Exactly.
Every big titty Genghis Khan mod for Crusader Kings 2 should be published by Valve itself. You know, it
Yes.
should be accredited to them.
I think Gaben himself should be listed as the author for every like tentacle porn modification added to Skyrim.
God, no, I'm trying to
100%.
read this last part because I found the part that I missed, and this still doesn't. Do you want me to read it? This still doesn't make any fucking sense.
Read it.
Sure.
Okay. The fact is, in every other revolution that we've had technologically, it's taken somewhere between 6 and a generation for the government to come in and level the playing field again. All of a sudden, remember the Luddites smashing the machinery in the Midlands? That was their answer to when the culture was changing. Same thing with television. Same thing that with the radio. Same thing. But this is gigantic. It's the responsibility of government to make sure it's not abused. Not abused. And so this is one of those areas where I think it's being abused.
Good. So, do you remember the fucking Luddites? I don't actually.
I wasn't then,
alive.
Joe. I don't know.
Yeah. Fucking Joe Biden.
I love this article in general because it's very clearly just like anti-Biden propaganda. It's just like the headline is just anti-Biden clickbait. And then it's just the entire text of the article is just him being incoherent. And if you should absolutely read this whole New York Times article, we shouldn't get into it too much, but he's just nonstop nonsense. You can't even like cherry pick parts because it's just no part of this is recognizable English.
No, this man, his brain is fucking melting. Like, he thinks he's he's talking to his grandson. He doesn't know what's happening. They've shot him up with like the most expensive horse tranquilizers that lobbyist money can buy. He's like on like the best adrenochrome you can get, and and it's still not enough to just keep his brain from leaking out his fucking ears, just because he was in a meeting with Randy Pitchford and just lost his shit when he showed him Borderlands 3. Like,
God, can you imagine if the fucking Randy Pitchford was like, I want to show you a video of a magic trick.
Randy Pitchford slips the USB drive into Joe Biden's pocket. Joe Biden doesn't know what to do with it because he's a million years old.
Yeah.
It reads like machine learning is desperately trying to become sentient, and it's failing, and it's just like dying because of the effort. You just cannot parse it. Mm-hmm. That was my big failure when I first tried to read this article. I was like, what is Biden talking about here? Let's try to tease this out. And then I had to take 2 minutes and be like, no, of course, he just never makes any sense about anything ever. Let's just stop thinking about this.
Yeah, it's sort of like you can kind of tell what he's talking about, but if you just glance over it, it looks like it makes sense, but then you really get into it, and it just you realize he's rambling.
He's been in so many meetings, and so much information has had to go through his head through his life, and now that he's sundowning, is you have no idea what year, what person, what combinations of political issues are just kind of firing as these neurons die. It's honestly breathtaking. If he weren't going, to destroy this country.
I mean, I would be down for him destroying this country. I feel like I'd be worried about if Joe Biden would just basically hold things together, but it would just be shitty. If Joe Biden was just accidentally launched the nuclear codes directly at his own coordinates, that'd be amazing. He just has the football and he's playing real football with it.
No, he thinks he's playing Atari Missile Command, but it's just the actual Missile Command.
Damn. Just global thermonuclear war started because he just sits on it. He just sits on the football and hits the big red button.
Would you like to play a game? And he's like, yes, and he just punches.
Yeah,
I
like to play a game.
You push the button.
Back in my day, we had the Pac-Man, and the Pac-Man, he'd won. There were ghosts in Pac-Man. He wandered through the maze, eating his pills. Where are my pills? I smell toast.
Oh shit. Yeah, he like actually like tries to like put a hit out on Pac-Man. He's like, he thinks that like all the pills Pac-Man's eating are like, part of like the health crisis, the like opioid crisis, and
He
he's
just
like trying
starts
to ban
rambling about
Pac-Man.
how Quds Force is training Pac-Man to attack our military bases.
They're just like, imagine 3 a.m. like people like deep in a bunker somewhere get a fax that says President Biden has commanded we drone strike Pac-Man, and it's like we got to follow it. It was just like the best we can interpret.
The thing that would be really awesome about a Biden presidency is that all of our like senile Trump bits we can just repurpose to be about Biden, and they still work. Like
they're like the same fucking guy.
They really are, like right down to like creeping on like young girls, like Epstein jokes. They all still track. The only thing is like instead of tweeting at like 2 a.m, Joe Biden's like having an argument with his VCR. It's not 12. What are you talking about?
The difference is that like Trump emerges and comes together as like a coherent person when it's time to be mean, and it's always funny. When he fired John Bolton, he said like he apparently he told him, he's like, we'll deal with this in the morning, we'll talk about it in the morning after he offered his resignation, and he just tweeted at 8 a.m. I have fired John Bolton. That is such an amazing dick move. I have to respect it,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Trump is that like he surrounds himself with the worst people, and so like all of his policies are a complete dog shit. But he like systematically humiliates and degrades those people and gets them arrested for him. Like the only swamp he's ever drained is all the people he hired, and just subsequently like had the pettiest possible feud with and fired like 3 months later.
Yeah, I mean the reality is the reason we didn't go to war with Iran is because Trump was embarrassed because Geraldo tweeted at him, please don't do this, this is bad. And he's like, well, I thought you said they were going to love me. Now Geraldo's being mean to me. Fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire some people and go have a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Cheeseburger.
Hamburger.
Our country, like, think about this. The two most likely people to become president are Joe Biden or re-electing Trump. Think about that. Like our entire society, the most powerful like office in the most powerful country that has murdered millions upon millions of people to secure its economic global interests, has just crushed democracies like eggshells, just murdered countless democratically elected leaders, just like strangled the life out of the entire Middle East. And it's run by like two fucking grandpas who like can barely distinguish between reality and fiction.
I mean, just imagine if the last episode of The West Wing, instead of whatever happened in it, it's just an old man filling his diaper in the Oval Office, and everybody has to like continue the meeting despite the smell. That's what's happening.
I feel like
but the thing
if
is,
there was any justice
new.
in the world, the people who made the West Wing would be like publicly executed.
Now we're talking.
This is not new though. Like this was true with George W. Bush. They like ran a line of coke all the way into the Oval Office, and he just like farted his way right the fuck in there and started.
And Ronald Reagan was fucking nuts. Like he was losing his goddamn mind, and like they just covered it up.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like we've finally like surpassed Rome. We've had 4 Caligulas.
It's true. We've had just like more mentally ill old men than like a retirement home have gone through the fucking president's office.
Like honestly, I have worked at like an old folks community, and those people have it so much more together than our presidents. At the very least, they can keep it together to talk about their grandkids and the time they drove an ambulance in Korea or whatever. And that I cannot say the same for our presidents.
Yeah. Plus, like the presidents do nothing but just like murder people. It's like all they fucking do. It's just like signed pieces of paper that are just like, okay, you can go murder someone now.
It's a downside. You hate
Yeah.
to see it.
It's like, what if like an old folks home had like fucking drone strikes? That's the presidency. So now that we've gotten nice and depressed, who's ready to move on to the next topic?
All right, myself. How long have we been recording for?
We've been ranting about Bob Chipman and Joe Biden for 35 minutes.
Okay. Just wanted to see if we had time for everything.
I think we do.
Okay. So the next thing, we really want to start off 2020 with a topic that'll make everybody hate us.
Exactly.
And that's calling it on Cyberpunk 2077 being dog shit.
Yeah. We were talking about this earlier, and the thing is, like, people went fucking insanely mad whenever anything from Witcher 3 was criticized. And in fact, it was the thing that broke Ian Miles Chong's brain into becoming an anti-SJW, was an article about how there weren't any black people in The Witcher 3. And so me and Reese have decided that we want to get a head start on just takes that will make people incoherently angry at us.
Absolutely. So we're going to start it off with this article that's not long.
Yeah.
About Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed because the devs are lazy.
Lazy devs,
only
awful
working
devs.
12-hour shifts. What the fuck?
They're only working like 16 hours a day. They don't eat. They just have like intravenous like nutrition drips. They haven't seen their families in like 2 months. But this is from Vice, and the article is, in terms of crunch, Cyberpunk 2077 is already a failure. No matter how good or bad 2077 turns out, CD Projekt Red has no problem admitting that the latest delay will result in crunch for its workers, which means that management has already failed, by Emmanuel Mayberg. So thanks, Emmanuel. This is going to make some people fucking insanely mad, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I will read it.
All right.
Yesterday, developer CD Projekt Red announced that RPG fans will have to keep waiting for one of the most anticipated games in the last few years. Cyberpunk 2077, which was scheduled for release on April 16th, is said to be delayed to September 17th. Fans of The Witcher 3, who are wrong, sprawling RPGs and dystopian fiction were disappointed to see the promise of the ambitious game, which they've been daydreaming about since it was first announced in 2012, slip out of reach. I know people who had to reschedule vacation days.
Jesus Christ. How pathetic do you have to be to like schedule vacation days to play fucking Cyberpunk 2077? Like, I get that, like, Witcher 3 was good, but, like, why are you living like this? You should, like, save that for, like, spending time with your family, or if you just need a break. It's just like, no, I am going to use all my fucking PTO to play Cyberpunk 2077 the instant it comes out.
And then when I get the flu, Grandma, I will be fired.
She's dying. This might be your last chance to say goodbye to her. No, sorry, I can't say goodbye to Grandma. I have to play Cyberpunk 2077. Oh, fuck, it's been delayed? What else can go wrong?
Yeah.
I can't say goodbye to Grandma. I have to say hello to Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. This is like, oh my god, this is like that time in fucking Bob Chipman's book. he talks about like missing his grandma's funeral, like to go shopping or something. This is like missing my grandma's funeral so I can stay in and play Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, definitely won't be ridden with bugs or whatever else and ruin your
no shit
time.
Like day one the game isn't even gonna fucking work for some dumb reason.
If you're going to have that big stupid marathon session, like wait a little bit till they fix some of
they patch it,
the bullshit.
Like the day one patch.
Even good games, of which there are zero,
exactly,
are always bug ridden day one and requires like 3 months to get all the kinks out to actually be like playable without the risk of something like shitty happen when you paid full price for it.
Yeah, plus, like, by that time, there'll maybe be, like, a sale so you can get it for slightly less money. But no, you have to be part of the zeitgeist. For the fear of missing out compels you to buy it at full price. To quit your fucking job, divorce your significant other, and just be there the instant it comes out. Just fucking camped outside the Best Buy like some sort of freak.
I mean, if you don't do that, you can't authentically freak out in a woman's mention on Twitter. So,
yeah, exactly.
You know, there's give and take.
I feel like the funniest thing you could possibly do as a games journalist is just like deliberately troll morons like that. Just be like, oh yeah, I played it before it came out. It was shit. That's like fucking. Then like say, oh yeah, I played it on the easiest mode too. It was really easy. It was too easy actually, and just like have people's heads fucking explode like out of scanners.
Then they just fucking freak out and ended up getting posted to some gimmick take account.
Yeah. We haven't even finished this article. Holy shit.
Well, let's continue.
You missed the most important part.
Okay.
What's the most important part?
I know people who had to reschedule vacation days they'd planned to use to marathon through Cyberpunk 2077. Hell, I don't even like The Witcher 3, but I was disappointed, if only because I'd have to wait 2 more months to finally dig into what is sure to be one of the most talked about games of the year.
I'm clapping. This is a fucking stellar performance. It's amazing watching a master at work, Emmanuel. Just chef's kiss.
Yes, I am going to be screaming and hooting like a sand raider later over how good this article is.
Okay, here we go. To some degree, yes, to be honest, Kaczynski said when asked if Cyberpunk 2077's development team would have to put in crunch hours. We try to limit crunch as much as possible, but it's the final stage. We try to be reasonable in this regard, but yes, unfortunately. Yeah, and CD Projekt Red has a reputation for crunch, and last year told Kotaku that it will try to be more humane to its workers during Cyberpunk 2077's development. I think it's actually appropriate that they just like make them live in like little sleep pods and give them like like nutrient paste to consume in between their 16-hour work shifts, because that's like the most cyberpunk way it could be developed.
We've actually removed the shards of broken glass from the end of our bullwhips.
And we have docked the pay of everybody to remove those shards. But
yeah. Let's see. Marcin Iwinski, the company's co-founder, told Kotaku that it planned to do this with a non-obligatory crunch policy, quote unquote, meaning that it wouldn't force people to crunch, and by not frowning upon workers who needed to take time off. Yeah, you know, that's always like, I super believe them when they say non-obligatory crunch. Like the work will, like, you either get the work done or you don't in this kind of situation. And it's like, yeah, you can say like, oh, it's not obligatory, but you know for a fact, like if you're not working like as much as they want you to, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, you've got till tomorrow to finish that character model.
No
but I have tomorrow off. Of course, you don't have to come in, but you've got till tomorrow. But of course, you don't have to come in, but you've got till tomorrow.
That's exactly the problem.
Just imagine the social pressure, like all of your coworkers are coming in and you don't, even if by some like fictional reason that this does exist, is like your coworkers are all going to be fucking pissed at you for not coming in. Just that's going to be the logic of the bunker, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. As Kotaku noted at the time, that's a policy that's easier to say than implement. Just because something isn't mandatory doesn't mean workers don't feel pressure to do it. Unlimited vacation days, for example, are not unlimited in practice. The fact that shortly before release, the company decided to delay the game for 5 months, and that CEO has no problem admitting that these will be 5 months that will require workers to crunch, indicates otherwise. Other parts of the Q&A session gives us clues as to how CD Projekt Red reached this point of failure, and its leadership's contradictory thinking about this failure. Much like The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077 is huge, sprawling RPG that gives players some degree of agency, choices that they can make to impact the world in different ways, and which will give different players who make different choices meaningfully different experiences. That's an enticing promise if you're the type of player who likes to be immersed in a fictional world, but it also makes Cyberpunk 2077 especially complex. So, every single fucking massive game like this, like all this open world shit that gets released, it represents the suffering of some developer because of how the fucking hugeness and scale of games now.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that if games were to treat its workers, game companies were to treat its workers humanely, like for real, to have like decent hours and pay, we probably wouldn't see huge games like this. And I think that that's overall a good thing to have shorter games, less like absurd bloat in it, because even if this game is good, which
can you imagine if like a Assassin's Creed game had 30% less annoying fetch quests and like garbage cluttering the map? I would literally send death threats to all of Ubisoft.
Yeah, it's really gratifying knowing that like there was some poor fucker who worked like, you know, a 70-hour week to place every single one of those stupid feathers in like Assassin's Creed 2 that like absolutely nobody collected.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is the reason why a union, or they need a union, because gamers will talk about this and, you know, poo-poo it for a day when it comes out, and then it's going to be like, isn't this game amazing, and just fully accept it without any kind of thinking about the hell that went behind it. And I understand, you know, what can you do, but you know, they're just going to have to push back on that level because the goblins can't be trusted.
No, and I mean, the goblins, I think you talked about this on a previous episode, that the goblins functionally act as union busters for the corporations, where it's like, you know, they're sending death threats to some guy who does textures all day, you know, saying like, I'm going to find your family, I'm going to murder your wife because like, you know, you're trying to unionize so I don't get to play FIFA like on time or whatever.
Yeah. The gamer slime is so unprincipled and just like a blob that consumes everything in front of it. Anytime they even try to like do something meaningful and noble, like when they tried to like boycott Call of Duty for some dumb reason, there's like that infamous screenshot of the Steam group that's boycotting Call of Duty, and they're all fucking playing the game.
Blizzard support forum. Hey guys, I deleted my account. How do I get it back?
They're just like such little treat hoglets that just cannot resist the urge of like a treat in front of their face. And like gamers were so fucking mad at Blizzard until BlizzCon came around, and then they're just like, Diablo 4? Well, Overwatch 2? And they just instantaneously forgot about it.
Expansion and not an actual sequel.
It's just amazing to me, just like watching. There's such slime. They literally just have like a shinies dangled in front of their face for 5 seconds, and they forget what they were mad about.
Well, CD Projekt Red prides themselves on not having DRM with their games. So
yeah,
if you do have to pay, if you do have to eat your slop, you know, don't pay for it.
We want to finish this up.
I definitely want to read this paragraph.
Okay.
I've seen this stage of game development up close, and it was clear to me that there's no way to minimize the amount of work it takes. It's a meticulous, arduous process that made me think it's a miracle that any big budget video games get finished at all. It's just a question of who has to pay that price. Usually it's the workers who pay it by crunching, as opposed to leadership and those who stand to profit most from the game's success. In the case of Cyberpunk 2077, it appears that once again, the development team will pay that price. And then the rest of the article kind of just sums up. But yeah, it's very clear that they're not making any real changes to improve the conditions of the workplace. They just know it's bad PR to just say, yeah, we're going to work these motherfuckers to death. What do you think we do? We're game devs.
We don't know what it's going to take to finish Cyberpunk 2077. This is the standard management playbook. Get yourself into a jam via poor project management and financial commitments, and then throw the only lever you have left. Make employees solve the problem by working longer and harder. So, CD Projekt Red is the darling of like the gaming community because of their, admittedly much more consumer-friendly business practices and the fact that they make giant games. But it's pretty much an open secret at this point that the way that they do that is just by like fucking like treating their employees like automatons. And it's like, it puts us as like gamers in a kind of awkward, position where it's like, I want to play the game. I want to have the shiny treats. I want them to be dangled in front of my face like I'm a fucking moron. But I also don't really want to support these business practices. But it's not like by not buying it, I'm like, it doesn't fucking do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the classic problem of the consumer, is that there's no good way to eat any of this slop. So, you might as well just minimize it as much as possible.
That's the Vigatoto line. You might as well enjoy this slop, gamers. There's nothing you can do.
Nothing matters. Your life is meaningless. You can't make the world better. Just play your fucking treat.
Eat
and
your
just,
slop.
Live in misery. And, be distracted for 2 seconds by a game that was almost certainly made with slave labor.
Well, I mean, it's just to say that the organization of game developers is the thing that's going to stop this. Nothing.
Exactly.
And the hand-wringing of the media, etc., is not going to make any kind of dent into this.
Yeah.
And
go follow Game Workers Unite on Twitter. Tweet at them, say you support them. If they post a strike fund, donate to it,
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only way you can spend your money as like a consumer that's not gonna like somehow go back into the pockets of Bobby Kotick and his pedophile friends.
I'm just imagining Randy Pitchford trying to make his own version of Little St. James, but it's just so much shittier because it's made by Randy Pitchford.
It's like a medieval times out on an island. Fucking hell.
One last bit before we move on. Jeff Gerstmann talks about in his early years working at GameSpot how whenever anybody would push back against their kind of like end of year crunch or whatever, the bosses would just straight up tell anybody that there's 30 19-year-old dudes like waiting to take your position if you're not up to snuff. And it's this attitude that of the workers where to touch the game industry, the hem of that robe, they will fucking just take any amount of abuse. So I don't know. I just think that, it's dipshits all around. Is what I'm saying.
The thing is, like, and this is completely anecdotal, but, I talk to a lot of developers and a lot of programmers just, through work and stuff. And like all of them say like, yeah, I love video games. I like work on stuff in my own time, but I would never want to work in that industry. I see the labor abuses that go on in there. I don't want to get anywhere near that. And I think it's becoming more and more well known just how bad the labor abuses are. And I think there's like, 2019-year-olds ready to take your spot. That may not be true anymore. And we may be getting to a point where like labor is willing to actually, make a stand and say, you know what? No, fuck you. We're not replaceable. You can't do this without us. And ultimately, this practice is hurting the big game developers because, as they do this high turnover, as people get good at the craft of game development and then realize, oh shit, I could be making like twice what I'm making by just, coding back-end shit for some startup rather than like being treated like garbage in EA dungeon somewhere. Like, I think a breaking point's going to come, and
listen,
people like Game Workers Unite,
all the fucking people, if you want to be a game developer, here's the thing. Every single person who goes to that school needs to be fucking taught games aren't worth it. Games are not art. They are a product. They are like slop for the hogs. They need to buy into the Vigatoto line of the fact that video games are the worst thing on earth. and you should not have to sacrifice anything about your life to make them. In fact, you should be like weighted on hand and foot for putting up with like the gamer like hogs and having to like make these shitty fucking fucking Skinner boxes.
100%. Before you're even allowed to game, you need to cut off your pinky in front of an independent game developer and beg them to let you play Destiny 2 for the weekend and just put the slop right in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we've gone through a couple of courses. Who's ready for some dessert?
I'm ready for dessert.
All right. This is something that I wanted to add. Just the past couple of days, everybody's favorite Ant-Man, Ian Miles Chong, has had just a couple of real dog shit tweets that have stood out.
Hell yeah!
And I just
this
wanted
is so
to
out of character.
I mean, it's not like he's one of the few people that I have preemptively blocked on Twitter because I can't just have it just show up on my eyes unless I'm prepared. It's like too fucked up. But the first one, this one doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And Conqy, would you please read this for us?
I have no idea what he sounds like, so I'm just going to read it like I'm a dipshit.
He doesn't sound like anything. He sounds like a fucking robot. He has such a boring voice.
Yeah.
Bernie's such a cuck. Liz Warren pegs him with a strap-on on national TV, and he's like, "Yes, mistress, fuck me harder."
Just like, what the fuck?
I have a theory, and I feel like this has been completely proven by this tweet and every tweet he's ever made, which is that the right wing is 100% fueled by sexual pathology.
Yeah.
100%. Certainly
projection.
Certainly not anybody who's ever had sex, so they might be aware how to use cuck correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, cuck is when they have sex with you, right? That's how that works.
Oh my god. Like, Ian, I don't even know what this is like about. Like, is it about the fact that Warren was like bringing up that supposed meeting?
Yeah, this is the Lion Liz controversy, and Ian's take on it is that Liz Warren owned him on the debate stage when he just flatly denied saying a woman could not be president. He's just like, that denial, one sentence denial makes him such a cuck.
He's such a fucking idiot. He's just like so clueless.
I'm just imagine spending that much time thinking about two elderly people having pegging sex. Like Ian Miles Chong like has this image fully formed in his brain of like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders actually having like pegging sex. Like, this is something he thinks about, and that's great. Good for him. I'm glad.
My God. His profile description is a force of evil, managing editor of @Human Events. Which, I mean, yeah, he is a force of evil, and like he's the managing editor of a fucking like shitty online magazine.
Yeah. Oh, so is he not doing it for like Milo Yiannopoulos' like shitty like web ring or whatever?
No. Milo stopped paying him, and he had like a heated gamer moment on the timeline. It was fantastic. He just got so fucking mad at Milo.
From working for him, though.
No, that was when he was working for the Incel Corner, which is just so amazing. His life is like an endless stream of humiliations that like he's such a little grifter that he just like puts his nose to the grindstone and just keeps on working through like things that would destroy the soul of another being. I don't think he has a soul. He's just like an automaton.
He just tweets. He has 275,000 tweets and just nonstop every day.
He's one of the articles on the site he edits. Soldiers without guns. It's time to allow concealed carry on military bases.
Okay. Human Events.
Yeah. And like, don't let extremists derail America first. The nationalist movement has no need of racists and anti-Semites. Which is just like, that is the nationalist movement.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it needs people, period, to be a movement. Which is, those are the people they have, you know? But yeah, this is like laboring under the delusion that like somehow nationalists aren't just like racist psychopaths.
I love Ian Miles Chong's new profile picture where he's trying to look serious in an ill-fitting suit, but it's the most "do you ever just sit in your truck" face I have ever seen. Just like baffled, unshaven weirdo.
He was posting earlier like a picture of himself. Like, it takes a lot of work to maintain this aesthetic.
Now you're jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
That was the grand finale. We're gonna talk about it now. I'm gonna post it.
Okay.
Just look at that.
It takes way too much effort for this aesthetic, and he just looks like dog shit.
It's just unshaven. He's just like put some hair gel in, and he's just wearing all black.
He just looks so shitty. His face just looks like what I would like take this, frame it, putting it inside like an art gallery and just label it sadness.
I can't believe no one has ever tried to explain the idea of doing an expression in a photo to Ian Miles Chong.
No, like, that's soy. That's soy. That's
it's soy to smile in photographs.
Exactly. It's cuck. It's extremely cuck to have human expressions in your photo still images. Oh,
fellas,
my God.
Is it gay to completely shave your face and smile when you take a picture for your 900,000 followers or whatever he has?
Oh, yes. My God.
I want to shout out the top two comments here, which is...
I think I've asked this before, but is your hair naturally gray like that? Ian, yeah, it is. He just like fucking took a sip out of the wrong flask from like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, which one is the one that has the Holy Grail?
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade. He just fucking took a sip out of the wrong one and just aged him like 50 years.
This is like the frame 4 of the animation as the dude turns into the skeleton. It's just like the decay has just begun.
Yeah. Man, he is an ugly motherfucker. All right, let's go to the last one. Oh my God. So this comes to us from Alaliker, the law cop.
This is a screenshot he gave us. This is Ian Miles Chong talking.
Yeah.
If people stopped giving in to their tendency to freak out and get flustered over everything, no matter how big or small, they'd be able to overcome any challenge. It's a weird way to frame that, but mind over matter. It's like, okay, not the most out there concept.
Here's his fucking example. Case in point. There's a cobra in the yard outside my house. I don't have the equipment to catch it, so I'm headed to the hardware store to get what I need. Meanwhile, a friend comes over, and the first thing he does is freak out like a moron about how I might get bit. Chill out.
I can't believe my fucking cuck friend is concerned for my safety.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a shit about whether or not this cobra bites me.
Listen, I'm just so badass. I simply headed to Ace Hardware and went to the cobra catching section as any normal person would do and purchased all the equipment human. I needed.
Yeah. And then I like his first post is amazing. When you are mentally strong and have the right mindset, you can overcome any obstacle, whether it be loneliness or yard cobras. And then his last tweet is, let's just say I'm rooting for one of the parties in this impending confrontation.
I know I said this before we started recording, but I'll say it again. This did not happen. Like, this man has never seen a cobra that was not on fucking G.I. Joe. Like, the only animals he ever interacts with are the thousands upon thousands of ants that live, like, in his mattress.
I actually think it could happen, or at least I want to believe it happened, because there's a small chance that Ian Miles Chong is just fucking taken out by a venomous cobra And then we'll have to change the name of this podcast to Cobras Are the Best Thing on Earth.
There's just something amazing to Ian Miles Chong's trajectory, where like he started out in Reddit just like stealing people's like content to get upvotes, and just his grift over the years has just hardened his soul to the point where it's like, listen, it's gay to be afraid of deadly snakes.
He's such a soulless automaton. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched one of his videos, but it's monotone. It's the most boring thing. It's the most boring thing possible when he describes, like, the SJWs are coming to ruin video games. He has no passion or showmanship. It literally just comes across like he's just doing what he needs to do to maintain his grift.
Yeah, 100%. And it's killing him. Like, I cannot wait for the Ian Miles Chong just absolute coming together at the seams that is going to happen this decade. It has to.
Yeah. It's amazing to hear like people who knew him before his fucking turn to the right and just like what like a like a simp shithead he was. Just like constantly be sliding into people's DMs. Oh man.
All right, here's a good one. Okay, well, let's leave out on this one. Conqy, I want you to read this one.
All right.
This is Ian Miles Chong's expressed wishes.
I hope I get bitten by that dumb snake.
Ian, I want
God.
what you want. I hope you get bitten by that dumb snake. It's not a bad thing to say because it's what you want.
Can I make a special request for this episode? Can the outro music for this episode please be the song Attacked by Snakes by the Aquabats?
Hell yes. All right. So
awesome.
That was fucking amazing. Thank you so much for being on with us, Conqy. Where can people find you and your account, which is blocked by the movie Bob, online?
I don't think he's actually blocked me. I think I'm just muted. Like the coward's block.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at Conqy, Conqy. Don't ask, it's an old username. And if you're a baby boomer who still uses Facebook in the year of our Lord 2020 for some reason, I co-run a dumbass Facebook page called Fully Automated Luxury Gay Space Communism. So I don't know. Go give that Facebook page a like, I guess.
Sounds awesome. I'm going to start tweeting at Movie Bob. Like, you know how when people tweet and say, like, unblock this person, please? I'm going to tweet Movie Bob and be like, block Conqy, you coward.
I'm just going to tweet at Movie Bob, and I'm going to start a hashtag that says, unmute Conqy.
So let's start tweeting that at Movie Bob, all the Vigatuto listeners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, Reese, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Your Very Good Bud on Twitter and also on twitch.tv, also Your Very Good Bud. I have started streaming a bunch of garbage that everybody hates, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm 9 followers away from getting Twitch affiliate.
Hell yeah.
And when I get that, finally, everything's going to come into focus in my life. All this gaming will have mattered.
Yeah.
So give me a follow.
All right. You can find me at 8alton8 on Twitter. You can find my YouTube at Alton Plays, where I also have the VODs for a lot of the episodes. I still need to go through and upload the new episodes, but I'm too lazy for that. You can find our main account at Vigatuto. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/Vigatuto.
We have new Patreon content. We're trying to step up our game this year. We have a Let's Play of Disco Elysium that's gone up.
Yes.
We're gonna start doing a kind of little smaller side things. So give us money so we can spend it on something, on just candy while we pirate our video games.
Yeah, we should have a new Game Mags episode coming out, which I'm really looking forward to because it's honestly one of the best episodes we've done.
It is outrageous. That's about 90% done. So that'll be out soon.
Hell yeah.
Certainly before this podcast.
Yeah, no shit. See you in a month.
I'm excited for my grandchildren to listen to this episode.
For real.
So, see you all in 2077 when this episode comes out.
All right. Thank you, Conqy.
Thanks, Conqy.
Right.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Farewell.
Breaking news.
Special report.
Bob Chipman, despite all common sense, decency, and advice received from experts, has continued to tweet.
It hasn't even been that long since we recorded this, and he just cannot stop fucking cranking them out. And really, this one's an all-timer.
It is
a true top 3,
maybe
the best ever. It's hard to say, it's too soon, but it's in the running.
Clearly.
It
is an all-time great. It's an iconic moment up there with Heated Gamer moment. In my opinion, that's how highly I esteem this take from Bobbert Chipman. So, Reese, would you care to intro it?
Yes. So the beloved rat candidate Pete Buttigieg did a tweet that was like, in the face of unprecedented challenges, we need a president whose vision was shaped by the American heartland rather than the ineffective Washington politics, blah, 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 blah. He's a rat.
He's saying nothing. Like, I've read several statements from Pete recently where he was supposedly dunking on Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, and he literally just says nothing in the most elaborate way possible.
He's just trying to hold it together so he doesn't just fucking rat out. just the fur spurts from his body and he gives like a howling squeak and just run around. So he gets to say these boring things because he can barely keep it together.
He just gets asked a hard question from like a reporter and he just like squeaks and dives towards the nearest crack under a door.
Mayor Pete, what's your favorite cheese?
Oh my god. Right. We got so distracted dunking on Pete, we need to read this tweet.
All right. Will you, Alton, please do the honors?
I shall. How shall I read it? Shall I try to do a voice or just, dramatic?
I think this is a news brief. We have to do it serious and straight.
Okay. All right. This is from Bob Chipman at the Movie Bob. 4:47 p.m., January 29th, 2020. A day that will live in infamy. Fuck the heartland. I want a president from the brainland of America. We're not going to fix a goddamn thing with folksy know-how and values, quote unquote. We're going to fix it with technology, science, and a full-throated rejection of moralistic superstition.
Oh,
this is like Movie Bob right here represents everything I fucking despise about the Outer Worlds. It's like, it's not a class movement based off of solidarity. No, the scientists are going to make everything better with I fucking love science t-shirts.
I mean, he has that classic tweet that he's like, I can't believe Nazis ruined eugenics for the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude.
A great tweet. Oh, man. Bob Chipman is like always just like 3 vodkas away from just going full eugenics on the timeline.
I'm going to be real honest with you. After we recorded this episode, I felt a little bad. I was just like, I don't know. Is this guy really our enemy? It's just like, this is just sad. It's pathetic. Is this really where energy needs to be developed? And he just has like been hitting home run after home run to make me feel great about trashing him for an entire episode in lieu of talking about whatever we talked about.
Yeah.
Because because I don't think we had any Movie Bob content planned, and we just trashed him for I mean, you edited
like
it. For
30
me, it seemed like
minutes.
90 minutes of
It was a
movie
long
Bob trashing.
time. Yeah.
Edited down.
But yeah, I'm always going to remember, fuck the heartland. I want a president from the brainland of America.
You know, it's not actually true logic unless it's from the brainland of America.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's the common name for it is reason otherwise. All right.
It's sparkling thinking.
It's sparkling thinking. All right, you have an extra special tweet, but I would like to share this quick thing from Sean R. Moorhead that I just found.
Okay.
There is a question from someone named Nick Pinkerton who says, "What does the movie Bob spelling ? Do?" And Sean R. Moorhead responds, "He makes about $48K a year through Patreon for videos in which he, for example, gets choked up explaining that the Ghostbusters are atheists."
Yeah. Is he happy about that? He's happy about it, right?
He loves it. I mean, that's what it is. He's
like a classic YouTube atheist.
I mean, I don't think even the classic YouTube atheists wouldn't go so far into cringe over weeping over logic. So yeah,
oh my God.
I just think that is a great summation of why why we do what we do. All right, for the grand finale, what's going on?
All right, so obviously many people responded to this tweet by making fun of Movie Bob for being a complete fucking moron. So this is from the Troubled Idealist. It's like, if you want to be a technocrat, kick your greed to the curb and step on the balls of capitalism and embrace automated luxury communism. Advocate for a universally enlightened civilization. And then Bob is like, "It's funny, I'm on your side, and there's no reason for you not to have known that, save for the apparent need to leap to conclusions instead of asking a few questions. So now you just look foolish. Too bad." This is Bob Chipman telling somebody else, replying to the Brainland of America tweet, that they look foolish.
I mean, and that's the thing, is that it's not just "I want a president from the brainland of America." Funny phrase, you know, it's overused, but drill tweet material.
Yeah.
It's the fuck the heartland.
That is such a fucking drill tweet. Like, fuck the heartland. I want a president from the brainland.
Like, you know, there are people who are not, even if you hated Trump voters, there's lots of people who didn't vote. You know, there are a lot of non-conservatives out there. You just have to not have your brain boiled by MSNBC to realize that. Yeah. And it's like it's more nuanced than that. But he always jumps to these, like, if you put them all together, it's just like, "I live in Boston, the bastion of culture, purity, and reason. Intellect. There's no racism in Boston. The black people definitely don't live in one place that's hard to get to."
The amazing thing is that Bob Chipman is like telling everyone from like these other states how fucking shitty the place they live is when he lives in fucking Boston. I know next to nothing about Boston, but I know that it's probably full of like Irish people who say things like, you know, Irish were the first slaves.
I have lived in the South for maybe like, I don't know, a third to half of my life. I spent 4 years in Boston, and I heard the N-word 500 times more in Boston than I ever have in the South.
Yeah, but I'm fucking sick, and I'm sure you're all sick of hearing of like knockoff movie Ayn Rand. And we need to read the names of the patrons.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so Mike, Jarhead Cunts, Jack Salmons, Nick Rubin, Eggs, Tholos, New Dark Cloud, Nathan Melby, Kyle Reederman, Tom Devan the Video Game Man, Pretty Fly for a Wife Guy, aka Conqy, Robert Miles, Dissonant Dragon, Higgins the Seagull, and last but not least, Jordan. Thank you so much for supporting the pod. Your patronage is what makes this show possible. That and our burning hatred for Bob Chipman.
We salute you. Good
Yes.
night and good luck.
To all you out there in the brainland of America, good night.
Good night.